last 18 years, the two groups that we have always enjoyed speaking to the most, coming back from the mission field as we've been on stateside assignment, are the RAs and GAs. Because we recognize that that's the future of missions right there. Those are our missionaries right there. And it always encourages us to see churches that invest in that generation. One of the best partnering churches we've had in the last 18 years of our ministry has been First Baptist Lafayette. And they do a phenomenal job. You know, there's been a time in Southern Baptist life when we've moved away from RAs and GAs, and some churches do Awanas and they do different kinds of mission programs. Some have dropped it entirely. And we can always get a sense of that when we go to speak in the churches. We can tell which churches are doing missions education and which ones aren't. And we're always so quick to give thanks to those that are and encourage them to do that. The GA programs, the RA programs, I mean, those are not only just the future of our missionaries, but those are the future of our churches as well. They're building into those children and those teenagers. They're building a kingdom vision into them that a lot of times they're not going to get by sitting in a pew. But there are some very committed people who are called by God to do that. And you know, we look at the demographics of our churches now, and we see the gaps that are there. And it's those people who are doing the works with the RAs and the GAs that are going to change those demographics. And if there are people who are going to be reaching out to others for the kingdom, that's the place to start. You know, I saw the 2020 report about the number of churches who haven't even baptized one child in the last year. You know, that's just biological growth that we're not even getting, and so that should tell us something. We're missing out on a segment of our population, and the future of our churches, it doesn't look good. If we shouldn't depend on biological growth, but if we're not even getting biological growth, what does that mean for our future? I think about Hardy Spence and the energy and the passion that he has for those young boys, and I'm thankful for that. He pours his life into them. He helps them have fun, but he also helps them learn about God and God's love for them, and about being a part of something bigger than what's going on in their lives, about being part of the kingdom. That's a gift. And it's not just a gift to First Baptist, but because it is. I mean, he's doing phenomenal work for First Baptist, but it's beyond that. I mean, it's a gift to those kids' lives. Some of them are going to grow up and they're going to be missionaries, and they're going to look back and they're going to say, it's Hardy Spence.
Did you have a Hardy Spence in your life?
No, I didn't. No, well, I didn't come to Christ until I was 18. No, I wound up on the mission field because of a little blurb in the Baptist Record in Mississippi that said, needed warm souls. Warm souls and warm hearts for Zimbabwe. And Mississippi Baptists were involved in a partnership project with Zimbabwe. It wasn't my first choice. I mean, I was set to go to Russia and have a great time. Preach and, well, actually I was set to go to Kazakhstan and do some preaching in Russian. Just have a great time. Go see Red Square, go, you know, all those things. Missions wasn't really on my radar. But all of that fell through. And the thing to go to Zimbabwe was the last thing on my radar. Wound up going, and I went, had a life-changing experience, but it still was going to be just missions. It was a mission exposure for me. It was you know, sitting on the tarmac about ready to leave Zimbabwe. God spoke to me. Yeah, I don't normally do this, but he said, "This is what I want for your life," and it involved missions, and specifically involved theological education by extension, which I really didn't know what it was at the time. So that was job one, to go back home and figure out what that was. Because you know, when the Lord speaks to you like that, and you know the Lord's speaking to you, you don't say, "Well, I'll think about it." You know, your response is yes. It's funny, I went back and told my wife, and she said, "Well, the Lord spoke to you, but he hadn't spoken to me." So I said, "Well, God, if you can speak to me that clearly, you're going to have to talk to her." And for the next 3 years, I didn't say anything about it to her. In my heart, I was like, "Oh, God, this is not where I belong. This, you know, I don't know how it's all going to work out, but you're going to have to work on it." And God did. He was faithful to do that. And my wife could tell you the story, but experiencing God changed her life and really changed her heart. When she came to that crisis of belief, and it became, are you going to be obedient, or are you just going to do what you want to do? And she came to me and said, "You know, I think it's time for us to go."